welcome back to the channel. I am the Maize Madman. Before we get started, hit the like and subscribe button. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you're aware every time I upload a video. Today, we're talking Michigan's continued pursuit of a high-level 4-star in the 2024 class, plus why Michigan's offense is going to be explosive in the passing game this season, all that, and of course, I'm upset. No disrespect, respectfully, but disrespectfully, it's disrespect. Don't be disrespectful. Those vile, disgusting Spartans, poor little girl, them. And I'ma tell them why I'm mad. That vile, disgusting cesspool in Columbus, the other state, and of course, as always, I'm upset. I'm gonna tell them why I'm mad. I'm mad because I'm a fan of other YouTube channels myself. I tune into a bunch of different channels just to see how they're run, and to get information. Fair enough, right? Including Uncle Lou. And shout out to my guy Antoine Johnson, who is a madman. He's been a madman for a long time, and he actually gave me a clip of Uncle Lou talking to a deranged The Other State fan
You can't stop
who out of his mouth said that the other state will have the #1 defense in America this upcoming season. He says they have 2 of the best edges, 2 of the best linebackers. The defensive backfield is vastly improved, and that they have that CJ Stroud was the problem. They have a better quarterback, even though no one's played any meaningful games at the college level on that roster at quarterback. How he can say they are better than someone who was drafted #2 overall, right? CJ Stroud. Now, I think what he's confusing is that CJ Stroud played for the other state and Michigan. That could be it because he was also our quarterback. But outside of when he played Michigan, CJ Stroud was a very, very accomplished quarterback. And heck, even when he played Michigan, he threw for 300 yards in 2021. I don't even know what he probably something close to that in 2022, probably more than that, right? He did have the horrible interception as he was being sacked, but that other than that, CJ Stroud isn't the reason that you guys lost those football games. You lost those games because you were dominated in the trenches, both on offense and defense. You lost those games because you can't stop the Michigan run attack, especially in the second halves. I don't even need to get into that. And you lost those games because whoever number 14 was in your defensive backfield could not find Cornelius Johnson. There's still an APB out for Cornelius Johnson in the other state defensive backfield. That being said, I've spent enough time on the Buckeyes. Let's move on to happier things. Michigan football in the last week picked up a couple commitments from 2 cornerbacks, one out of Kentucky, the other out of Indiana, 2 3-star guys, Josiah Edmonds and Jeremiah Lowe. That being said, Michigan is still in pursuit of an elite prospect at the safety position, Mr. Zaquan Patterson out of Hollywood, Florida, who is also being pursued by the likes of the Miami Hurricanes and the Florida State Seminoles. Florida State really ramping up their efforts here lately. And Miami, of course, has always been in the conversation. They are kind of the hometown team, if you will. Why Michigan is in the thick of this? Obviously, his high school teammate, Chris Ewald, is already committed to the Wolverines in the 2025 class. And Mom seems to be on board now, right? Early on, there was some trepidation because Michigan obviously is a long way from Hollywood, Florida. Ann Arbor, Michigan, Hollywood, Florida, not exactly down the street. However, he did bring Mom on his latest recruiting visit during the barbecue at the Big House. She seems to be on board for Michigan if that is where he chooses to go, which is a great thing. He's made multiple visits now during the summer which is another plus and another check for Michigan. These are unofficial visits, meaning Michigan isn't paying for these visits. That is another plus, that the money is coming out of him and his family's own pocket to come visit. You don't do that for a school that you're not really interested in. So I think Michigan is in prime position to land an elite prospect, 4-star prospect in Zaquan Patterson. And depending on the recruiting service, he's a 5-star prospect. This is exactly, though, what Michigan needs in terms of landing elite level prospects, right? They need to get back on that, the momentum that they had early on in the 2024 class when they were landing the Jaden Davises, the Jordan Marshalls, the Brady Priestcorns of the world. Obviously, the momentum has slowed. We've swung and missed on a couple elite level prospects, including Aaron Childs, Darian Mayo, of course, the corners out of Ohio. I don't need to keep drilling on that, but this would be a huge get for Michigan, probably propel them back into the top 5. Right now, they sit as the number 6 ranked class, according to 24/7 Sports. I will keep you posted on this. Obviously, it's a 3-horse race right now, but I feel like it's really Miami and Michigan at the top of that, and Michigan has a puncher's chance, as good a chance as anybody in the race for Zaquan Patterson. Moving on. Heading into my next segment, which is why the Michigan pass offense is going to be explosive this upcoming season. This is going to be one of the reasons. Obviously, they want to impress the number 1 quarterback in the class of 2025. That is Mr. Bryce Underwood. They're obviously trying to hold on to Jaden Davis. Not to say that there's any threat of him leaving right now, but showing that you're willing to toss the ball around the yard will improve the chances of keeping an elite passer like Jaden Davis, and even getting the attention, keeping the attention, and landing a Bryce Underwood. That being said, who would these guys be throwing the ball to in the future? Of course, there's a 4-star wide receiver, Channing Goodwin, a legacy recruit who is also the high school teammate of Jaden Davis at Providence Day School in Charlotte, North Carolina. You got Brady Priestcorn, a 4-star tight end out of the state of Michigan. In addition to Priestcorn at tight end, there's also Hogan Hansen. So there are some targets currently in the 2024 class, but what about elite level targets on the outside? We know Michigan missed with Gatlin Bear. We know Michigan is likely not to get Ryan Wingo. That said, what about the 2025 class? And there are some options there. Let's start one. Andrew Marsh out of Katy, Texas, top 100 receiver, Andrew Marsh, top 100 player rather, Andrew Marsh, the number 3 receiver in the 2025 class, is one of the options for Michigan. Marsh has already visited Ann Arbor a couple of times now, obviously unofficial visits. He plans to visit again for the game in November against the other state. He can see himself as a difference maker in the Wolverine offense, even knowing that currently they are run heavy. However, I expect that to change this upcoming season. We'll get into that in a second, though. But when speaking with E.J. Holland of the Wolverine, in response to a question about the Wolverines being a run heavy offense, he had an excellent response saying that he likes the system and believes he can come in and be a difference maker, which is huge, right? You have to have that belief in yourself, number one, but Michigan also needs to show that they are willing to air it out and that they are willing to get wide receivers involved in the game plan and in the game period, right? So that is one of the reasons I think Michigan's offense will take a leap forward in terms of the passing game this season. Also, let's not forget, let's not act like J.J. McCarthy isn't an elite an elite quarterback or hasn't performed well. 2,700 yards a year ago, 22 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, almost an 80 QBR. J.J. McCarthy in big spots showed up big for Michigan. He made crucial plays down the stretch of that Illinois game after Blake Corum was hurt that really could have gotten away from Michigan and could have, put a blemish on that undefeated regular season record. He made huge strides even in a losing effort in the playoff game against TCU, over 340 yards passing, completing nearly 60% of his passes in that game. There were two huge interceptions, but other than that, he played exceptionally well. Go back to the game against the other state, 260 plus yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. There was a time during the start of the season where he was completing some absurd percentage of his passes, like 80% of his passes were being completed through the first 5-6 games of the season last year. Of course, he came back down to earth eventually, but he still completed 65% of his passes a season ago. Like I said, 22 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 2,700 yards. I see JJ taking a step forward. I think he can add another 1,000 yards to that this season, maybe get into the 27 to 30 range for passing touchdowns and still keep that interception rate relatively low. And by that, I mean below 10. If those things happen, then Michigan puts themselves in great position to land the most elite quarterback prospect that they have been after in the last few years outside of Dante Moore, but he may even be better than that, right, in Bryce Underwood. Also, and this is no disrespect to Jaden Davis, who is also an elite quarterback prospect who's been bumped down by some of the services, whether fairly or not, right? Bryce Underwood, though, is a must-get for Michigan for all the reasons I've already explained in previous videos. He's an in-state recruit. Michigan has to start landing the best recruits in-state, which they are starting to do. They landed his teammate in the 2024 class, Jeremiah Beasley, the linebacker out of Bellevue High School. So that could go a long way. I'm sure it will. And landing somebody like this receiver out of Katy, Texas, Andrew Marsh, would also go a long way in landing Bryce Underwood and vice versa. So those are reasons that I think Michigan's offense takes the next step in the passing game. Not to mention, Roman Wilson will be healthy. He is explosive this year. So the passing offense is going to improve due to all of those reasons, and Sherrone Moore being now the sole offensive play caller. I believe that Sherrone Moore has worked in plays, and Roman Wilson has basically confirmed my belief, right? Saying that Sherrone Moore has worked in plays that the quarterbacks and wide receivers will love and will enjoy this upcoming season. That leads me to believe there's going to be a lot more passing in Michigan's offense this upcoming season. Not only do they need to impress recruits, not only do they need to, showcase their elite quarterback, their former 5-star quarterback in J.J. McCarthy, but just to take the next step in the college football playoffs, Michigan needs to be able to throw the ball around the yard. They got dominated in 21 by Georgia. They were very one-dimensional. J.J. comes in, throws a touchdown. Now, granted, it was garbage time. Georgia had taken their foot off the gas too, but it still happened, and we saw it happen, right? Last year when Michigan had to come back from huge deficits on several different occasions in that TCU game, they relied on JJ in that passing game. So it is my belief that the passing game takes a step forward. Let me know in the comment section what you think. Does Michigan's passing attack take a step forward? Are they still pretty much 50-50 with run heavy? It's really not 50-50. It's really a run heavy offense. Let me know what you think. Let's talk about it in the comment section. I have gotten a little long-winded in this video, so I will bid you adieu. Until next time, my friends, stay angry. I'm upset.
Ladies and gentlemen, this might be our best season ever. My ratings, they're about to go through the roof.
Alright, now I'ma calm down, son. Son. I just don't get that all that Maize and that lock and all that puff. I just don't get it, son,
Okay,
for real.
just calm
And how the